down. Do you want me to make
All
sure
right,
you're...
filming began, okay? So filming just began. The time now is 1:01. Wow. So we started filming at 1 o'clock. All right, so we don't have a spinning wheel yet to decide what we are going to have for the topic of the day.
But what happened to you this morning?
So we are going to start off with discussing what took place yesterday with messing with time and his space.
Before we start, I want to say the last video came out with no.
The main one.
Sorry, the last video came out with no sound. Therefore, there's something I want to repeat on that video. Only one major topic that I need to repeat. During my the first video, Christina came through and had a lot of negative feelings because people really weren't there for her at church. And I want to say I wouldn't have been at church, I don't know, for 20 years if it was as negative as I came off in the first video. And it is a beautiful place. There's probably maybe 15 people who've had a problem with me out of 200 over 20 years. And these people are close friends of mine that I am not trying to insult. I mean, close as I've known these people for 20 years. I also did not mention, real quick, Reverend Sassy. I'm not going to say her real name, but she knows who she is, and I want to shout out to her. She did do a tarot class that I did take, obviously, some of my knowledge from. I was reading cards since 12. I want to take all of it from that class, but I can't not give her credit. Also, she's my mentor at church. There are one-liners and just things she said to me that literally get me through my life that I repeat to other people all the time because she's just amazing. And I can start naming off all the people that are amazing and are our close friends, but we don't have time. But I don't want to leave the audience with the impression that the Church of Eternal Light is negative, because for the most part, it's not. So, okay, I got that on my system because that had to be said. After I watched back episode 1, I was like, oh, wow, that's not how I feel about the church. So I didn't like how it sounded. So to everyone from the Church of Eternal Light who's ever been to the Church of Eternal Light, I love you, even if you hate me. Like I said, maybe 15 people hate me. All right, so here we go. All right, what happened to you? You said you went to church. What happened?
Do we want to
go? Oh, you want? Yes, we do. I guess we do.
So,
do I have enough fucking protection for this?
So before we even started filming today, we had to do a cleansing on Brens because of yesterday's activities.
I'm laughing.
But we're trying to get her more comfortable to show you what needs to be done before or even after
every conversation.
After every conversation to protect her.
I did not get a healing after yesterday's conversation. He went off to do his thing. I went off to do my thing. I thought I was protected because I used a bunch of protection stuff, but I ended up being angry, agitated, irritated, just way off. And by the time he called me on his way over today to shoot this, I was bawling, freaking out.
You couldn't break through your messenger. You were locked out.
Oh, yeah, I was locked out of my messenger for 15 minutes. I was on the phone with somebody very important who was having problems, and they were going through crying and stuff. And I was just, like, so anxious that I couldn't get back to that person. Messenger was completely down for 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden, his phone call comes through Messenger when it's not even working, bro. So I'm like, call this person, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. My phone's not working. So I want to say it was excitingly weird that my phone went, like the messenger went down. My messenger is all my texts too, like regular phone calls, regular SMS texts. Everything comes through my messenger. So I could not do anything. And that's when I started bawling. I had just lost it by then. And he came through with his phone somehow, some way. And when he came here, I had already been telling him since yesterday, we need to do a cleaning on me or a healing on me every time we talk. Because after what happened yesterday, I was left a wreck. A lot of people may not have watched Steve's page if you are a friend of Steve's or mine. What happened yesterday. So we're definitely going to tell you what happened yesterday because it was insane. So I want you now to go ahead and start off the conversation.
All right. So with what took place yesterday, pretty ironic that I started off looking for a shirt that I wanted for a wedding that I was going to attend yesterday. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to grab my psychedelic shirt because whenever I look at it, it gives me a different image as to what's going on with the moment, with what I see out of it. So I picked it up, I laid it on the bed, I looked at it, and I'm like, what the heck is this big sphere with like a hole in it with bolts of lightning coming out of it like, like, what the heck am I looking at this time? At one point, I looked at it and I saw an Indian with a headdress on.
The feathers.
Another point, I looked at it, it had a giant turtle on it.
He kept circling it and trying to explain it to me because I saw some of what he was seeing, but he wanted me to see all this.
But when I asked you what you saw when you looked at it, what did you see?
I saw Jesus with his arms out raised like this.
Right.
I don't know how you don't. Do you see that? Did you see
everybody
that?
sees what
Have
is
you
meant
seen
for
that?
them
What
to
I
see.
see?
No, I didn't see Jesus.
I'm going to have to explain it to you.
You're going to have to
I'm going to show it.
Somebody else saw the Grinch, and they circled it, and I'm like, I do see the Grinch. You know?
It's like cloud shape shifting. Like you can see anything in that
So
shirt.
instead of wearing it to the wedding, I decided that I am going to have it dry cleaned, and I am going to literally put it in a frame, a glass frame.
Nice.
Because everybody... Spirit. Like an extra sketch when Spirit does that. So I think that would be cool because when we get we're always going to have different locations. This is one location.
You might want to put it on the boat. That would be cute. The shirt on the boat now.
I want to have different locations. You have this location.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I can be out of my little one-room efficiency, and I'll have a location that I can have that up there. Different things that pop out of me. Like you've got this on your wall.
Right.
I don't want it on the boat because if you ever hit rough seas and the opposition tries to rock the boat, I'll be laughing and cool, calm, and collected. She'll be freaking out. The rough seas, and I'll be like, "Remember what Jesus said? Relax. You woke me up for this."
I'm bringing my seasickness pills first of all.
That might be one reason why I love rough storms, tornadoes, hurricanes.
Amber storm.
So there was one big giant hurricane. I ran down to the coastline in my Bronco, and I'm cruising like, I want to go to the shore. I want to check this out. And all of a sudden, giant tree is falling down. And I'm like just in awe watching it as I'm driving on the road that this is about to fall in front of me on. And I look at the truck in front of me, I'm like, oh my God, it's going to hit him. I'm not even thinking about myself yet. Oh my God, it just missed his cab. It just missed the bed of his truck. The whole street glows up with the wires it's ripping down. And I'm like, I'm going to run into it. I cut hard left. Whole vehicle caught air, flies through the air because it was like into a school or church. We were in Durham. And I rode in Durham.
Oh, wow.
Right? Just before we would have got to the other area where we stopped to buy the earrings.
Okay.
So I'm in the air. The whole vehicle is lighting up, and I'm all blue. And all I'm hearing is, and I'm flying through the air, and I had that Bronco hooked up. Anybody who knows me for a while knows that black Bronco. It just landed smoothly like, yeah. And I freaking spun around, went back on the road like, holy smokes. So I get down to the shoreline. Hurricanes coming in, waves are crashing on this road. I'm just scared. First I looked at it. I'm like, okay, we got cables on this side, cables on that side. If a giant wave hits me, it'll just slide my ass across the road. I'll hit the back cables like in a boxing ring. I got to blow, but I'm not going to get washed away.
Right.
So the waves are coming in. They're hitting. They're going over my freaking head, clearing the whole road and going down on the other side. I'm like, yee-hoo! I'm kind of like...
I kind of get that too, but it's all going to die. Like, and there's some point where I'm like, this is awesome. One time I was watching a storm and I didn't know there was tornadoes in Bristol. I didn't have the TV on. And me and my kids are little, standing out on the front porch. And I was like, yeah! Until the tree in front of the house, it wasn't huge. It was maybe this big around. It just lifts up out of the ground, takes off. Maybe it's time to go in the house now, kids. This isn't fun no more.
So this is my fault for going on a tangent. We started off with trying to talk about tearing space and time.
Yeah.
So in yesterday's episode on the phone, I think everybody was freaking out because you were on the phone. She was
Nancy
on her phone.
was there. Nancy was a witness who wasn't even on the phone. She was a physical human witness.
She was watching from her phone, watching the live.
But she's also there with you. It's like, so she was a witness to everything.
She was able to feel the energy.
She's a psychic as well. His friend Nancy's also a psychic as well.
As well as many other friends that we have.
No, I'm just letting them know.
But she was able to not only feel the tearing of the fabric and changing, but she said it was like such a whole different experience because she was present watching.
Right, I wonder what it was like to be there in person. Right. He had to come
here. But you were kind of there in person, being on the phone while it's happening.
That was quite enough for me, really. And then he took off to the wedding and left me like this for the rest of and then I'm bawling by the time you get here. Thank God whatever happened that we ended up getting together today, because I would have gotten my Jeep and chased you down wherever you were. I was like, I need healing. I need a healing.
So it's amazing stuff to be able to reach up to the heavens, to be able to have those down below saying, shut up. So they're hearing me.
Explain what exactly happens. It's very hard to put into words for me.
So
I went to the bathroom. Here's the thing. We were having
Are you talking about splitting the time?
First, I want to say real quick. We were doing a live where he was trying to get us both on a live together. From me, I was home. He was at Nancy's. Oh, I'm going to get us both on a live together because we were going to have a conversation, which we did have. So we had the conversation, which seemed normal-ish, until I said, oh my God, I really got to use the ladies' room. I got to go. So I hang up the phone, go to the bathroom, la-di-da. So, Steve finally gets back to me a little while later.
But while you're in the bathroom, isn't that where you felt the tear in time and fabric or no?
No, no. So I'm done the rest. So now I come back and blah, blah, blah. And Steve says, you gotta watch the rest of the video after you went to the bathroom. He's like, bring all your protections, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, holy shit. So I brought on protections and watched the rest of the video. It says live video interrupted on my end. Okay, it's back on.
That's your phone. So mine's still going live. Okay. Yours is going live, and this one's filming us.
Oh, I'm just making sure.
Yep, no, that one's filming us.
Mine keeps saying interrupted all the time.
So the energies.
So anyway, I watched what he did with the live after I cut out and went to the bathroom, and I was done for the day. So he tells me to rewatch it. I got all my protections. I rewatch it, and what had started happening was can you explain it? I have no words. Jesus.
So we here we go here. She wants me to try to explain it. So we'll explain it to that camera, this camera, her. Whoop, whoop. All right, so the best way to explain yesterday's activities is that between my blessed connection, my voice, my family in heaven, which is all universal. See, when you people, say it very easily, it's all universal. You don't understand how deep that word is universally. So I'm getting lit up. So that
my
word,
hands hurt.
Your hands hurt. So that word also, her hands hurt. So she's got to.
I just got a healing, and my hands are killing me because.
So in using that term universal, we are talking about I see through multiple realms. The Bible calls them firmaments. There is a lot out there that many people are unaware of. And when they do connect onto it, they either end up into a Looney Tune bin or they keep it to themselves because they don't want to be put into a straitjacket. So yours truly is at the point in the game that I am so blessed and connected by God. My God. That's another topic.
I think my mental illness is what keeps me as unprotected, where you are so protected because I had a different experience than he did. We'll go there.
All right. So with yesterday's episode, we shook time and space with when God said you can move a mountain from here to there with simply your thought. I am so much closer to what the heavens want to call, or the hell's actually called. We'll get to that story another day. What they called, when I come into my full powers, it will be a glorious day. So we are another few more steps closer to that glorious day, which I have been placed here for a mission that is going to take place. And hunker down. Strengthen your mind, strengthen your faith, strengthen yourself, protect yourself.
Let them know what the conversation started with. So, what questions had you asked?
The conversation in my mind started with the shirt, with the big ball of an earth or something with, so a while back, archangels told me to take the light from the darkness. So I am thinking that this light is escaping a big black hole of darkness. One of my gifts is the gift of discernment. So I look at something, I'll be given signs and stuff, and I have to think upon it or allow myself to just relax, let the gift give me the answers. Many times I don't get the answer until I get in a shower. The water comes over to me. It's like, it's that simple. It just washes on me. So we literally vibrated and shook
What questions
multiple
did
realms.
you ask
What
me?
questions did I
What was
ask?
the reason for the video in the first place?
I don't know. We'd have to watch the video.
No, you asked me
What did I
about
ask you?
Jesus, and
Oh, yes.
and then and then I had some
Yes,
answers
yes,
for
yes.
you.
Okay.
I want to definitely
So,
touch on what that
All right.
we said.
So what did I ask you again?
You had asked me, I think, if Jesus was an equal or if he
Right.
was above us.
If Jesus, when I asked, and I was specific, when we go to heaven,
Right.
are we an equal with Jesus, or is he above us like, I'm your God? And her response was, he is so humble that he treats us, talk to us as equals, even though he is above us.
So both is the
Right.
answer.
So
he is above us, but he doesn't act
and the
above
other
us.
question I asked, because I was debating with a fellow Christian, and there are so many different shatterings and variations in different Christians' time thought. This Christian I was debating with was like, Jesus is God, and I'm like, no, he's the Son of God. Remember when he, looked up to heaven and said, why have you forsaken me? When he, just before he got hauled off, he said, if it is your will, can we change this and just skip this process? Like, this is getting real. Can we just move along? But if it's your will, I'll move through with it. So there are so many parts where Jesus is not talking to himself. Do I really want to do this here? No. He's like, if it is your will, let it be done.
So tell the story about the roof and the clay. Two stories that are
so
not
then
in King James
so many
Version.
people
King
are not
James
even aware
Version.
of.
I wasn't until yesterday.
So many people are not even aware of Jesus' first miracle. So if I was to ask you,
I gave
what
the
is
wrong
Jesus'
answer.
first miracle? She's like, turning water into wine.
No, I didn't. I said the beggars. Then I said Lazarus, because there are things in the King James Version. I'm like, honestly, I'm kind of Wiccan. I haven't studied the Bible in like 20 years. So I'm like, So I didn't have an answer, basically. So he told me what is in a different version. Now, where is the...
And although you'll label me Christian, I didn't study the Bible. I read it the first time, and then he kind of strongly hinted.
But there's two stories that I was completely
So the one story that I
of.
was aware of, being brought up in Catholicism, they have a lot of books that King James did not put into the King James Version, even though Catholicism has some of them have the King James Version. They also have Catholic Bibles, but that story is not even in the Catholic Bibles. So Jesus, when he was a child, was playing around on rooftops with his best buddy. And his best buddy slipped, fell to the ground, and died. Jesus, why did you push him off the roof? I didn't push him off the roof. Yes, you did. You killed him. Why would you do that? He's like, but I didn't. Sure you did. And Jesus is like, well, and this was before Jesus had even known that he was the Son of God. And we'll get to that point with another question that we asked. So he just knew that he was completely wild. So he's like, and it wasn't his first miracle, so we'll backpedal to his actual first miracle.
But this is his second miracle or something.
So then he brought the little boy who fell off the roof, who died, back to life. And the little boy was able to tell the people, yeah, Jesus didn't push me. I fell. I died. And Jesus said, thank you for explaining to them the truth. Now go back to sleep, and put him to sleep. And she was like, why didn't he just let him live? Why didn't he let him die? And he came through, and Jesus wasn't powerful enough at that point in his life to not only bring him back to life at that age, but to cure him completely of all the damage that occurred to his body. So Jesus did not want to let him go through the rest of his life as a paraplegic or in pain. And what was the term he used that you agreed with? Something about, death, it can be beautiful.
Death is merciful. It's beautiful, because what is the worst thing? Like when let's just say people are doing evil to you, what's going to harm you? Death is not going to harm you. Death is merciful. It's peaceful. It's beautiful. What harms you is suffering. So if someone around you is suffering, or if you are suffering, now that's a different story. That suffering is the agony, and death is merciful, is the way I always put it.
So I've also heard it said that Jesus would play around with, we call it clay. I know what they mean, because back in the day of the Egyptians and everybody who was making clay houses. It was basically the substance of earth with straw and stuff that they made into blocks.
And I did say it was not like New Mexico adobe clay. It was like mud dirt right away. Right. I did know that.
So Jesus wanted that part to be known. So he was making little mud birds.
Like mud pies, like a 4-year-old.
He
was 4 years old.
4 years old. And he was, like God breathed into us. He said he took him from the dirt, breathed into its nostrils, and gave us life. And he took from a rib and made woman from man that he made from the dirt.
If you believe that.
If you believe that, right. So we're on different paths, but we agree to disagree.
We can agree on certain shit,
what does your post say? You can still be friends with people you disagree with?
Yeah. Then that guy started going crazy. I was like,
is he your friend on Facebook?
He actually is a real friend in real life. I just I don't want the drama.
But he's not your friend on Facebook.
He's my friend on Facebook. Yeah, absolutely,
So that's where he chimed in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, me and Bren disagree with this. We disagree with that. We're on different paths. But as long as she's a witch of the light, I am honored to work with her. And this is where different people get misconstrued in life and the past. It's not me to judge her. Spirit. All of this, we have to do the best that we can do, not to hurt each other, to find our agreements,
our common ground,
to get to the light. It'll all be shown to us when we get there.
So she has played with the mud, and he made these birds, and they say, the story says they were clay, which is why I was trying to explain it wasn't clay, it was like mud, it was like a darker brown, it was mud. Anyway, he's playing in the mud, he forms a bird with his hands out of the mud, and so breathes life into it, and the bird comes to life and flies away. So that was his first miracle, because he was 4 years old.
So, I don't want to call many of you that are watching commoners.
That's a weird thing to say. There's a lot of psychics, and so there could be people who do what you do.
People who are psychics, we have an advantage with our senses, with our eyes, to discern good, bad, indifferent. Like I was chatting with her. We can talk for hours, which we're planning on 2 different episodes. So as soon as I mention one thing, we're going to go off on a different tangent. I got to pull back the tangent. Right. Pull that back and
maybe like the plants, the flowers. What did I say about that?
So I almost mentioned the cards and stuff and the Ouija board. So that's a whole nother story. So we lost the video due to and I didn't pay attention to my gift of knowing and the sign. I saw a little spot of gold in the plug, and I remember it. You didn't hear the pushing, and I'm pressing. I'm like, well, maybe it doesn't need to be all the way in. We'll be good. No. So we had an awesome episode.
Awesome.
I did not have any volume, but I have a friend who is deaf that can read lips. So I reached out to her. So I forgot that I have a family member who was deaf.
Oh.
She dove into a stream that wasn't deep, broke her neck. They said she was going to be a quadriplegic for the rest of her life. People prayed for her. She's now a minister. She's walking around, and my mother thought it would be funny to go see her as a paraplegic because her mother met us and Stop and Shop and said, she's playing the piano, she's walking. My mother's like, now pay attention, Steve. This is what delusion can do to you. Right? And I was like, wow, really, Mom? So she takes us to the house, and the girls were walking, and my mother's a registered nurse for 30 years. Is like, in her mind, she's probably like, this is impossible. Right. How could you pray for something and have a miracle happen when I'm bringing my son here to show you miracles don't exist? What is that? My mom's going to show me miracles don't exist, and I'm doing miracles. Hey, Mom in heaven. Irony. So
we're going back to Jesus.
I
want to get back to the miracles.
All right, so back to the miracles.
Because we want to keep in that conversation. I want to kind of...
All right, so back to Jesus and the miracles. So at 4 years old, he was making clay or mud, animals, breathing life into them and letting them fly away.
Birds.
So I, with my wonderful questions, was like, at what age were you aware that you were actually God in heaven's son? And he said it wasn't until he was sent to the desert. And I have no idea what age he was when he went to the desert.
He was. He probably was something. Oh gosh,
we're guessing probably.
He started his ministry right after the desert because he was 100% sure of who he was, what he was doing, what his mission was at that point. Whereas he knew his gifts, but he wasn't sure where he was going or his mission until he spent the 40 days in the desert. So he was 33 and he died, and I think his entire ministry was 3 years ish.
Right.
Am I right? So he
Okay.
was probably 29, 30 when he was in the desert.
These are questions that fellow Christians will attack me about. You don't know this quote or that quote in the Bible, and spew me this and what verse is this? It's like, look, God literally used me as a blank slate because, I mean, although I had him in my heart, I was null and void of the actual, most of the words. And then I read the book the first time and I like closed it. Yeah, no, my heart is not justifying with the words.
So this is what we're saying prior to, oh my God, I got to use the bathroom to see ya. So now what happens?
So she gotta go to the bathroom, see ya. Phone starts going freaking haywire and berserk. So she disconnects our energy through the phones. The phone starts squealing and going nuts.
And it's being recorded. So
and now the girl next to me, Nancy, says she hears typing. I'm like, typing? You're hearing typing like a mess. Yeah, I heard the screeching too. So she heard typing. I'm hearing the screeching like this is almost giving us a typing noise. So
yes, it is. It's the fan. Don't stop the fan. It's hot in here.
Okay. So she's saying it's hot in here. I'm nice and cool. I don't melt under heat.
What? No. I'm gonna move to Canada. I melt.
So what was the question you had just asked?
Okay, so we heard the screeching. This is where we're at with Nancy.
Went nuts.
Nancy's hearing the typewriter.
The phone's going into a freaking loop. I'm looking at two of my phones. They're both on the same carrier, hitting the same cell tower. So my live video should be instantaneously here. Then I was like, wait a minute. My live video with me in my face. Hold on. My live video with me in my face right here is delayed. And I'm like, so I'm watching my face in my own live video going, okay, I understand these might be a little off, even with the same carrier, but they should be close to the same.
When you watch
if you have two phones with the same carrier under the same policy.
When you watch it, it's a huge echo.
And then I'm watching in there, so I even go silent because now I'm playing with what's going off. It's wild. So now I'm going to find out when the volume on the other one, the loop, is going to freaking stop or catch up so I can catch up with what's going on in here. Mind freaking blowing. So then I reached out to my so now I realize that we are literally meddling with space and time. And I'm on there freaking out going, we're messing with space and time. We're cracking space and time.
Don't make me cry again. Because my experience wasn't pleasant when I watched it.
So her experience wasn't pleasant when we did it. I wasn't
there. I went to the bathroom. I had to re-watch it. Then I had my experience.
Right. So then I decided to not even on that video reach out separately to see if any of my gifted friends felt anything. Almost like I feel something. How do they say it in Star Trek? A little what's the little guy?
I'm on a Star Trek.
That feels energy.
Yeah.
Yodo, Moto.
That's Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Yoda.
So Yoda says, I feel a shift in the change of the universe. You know?
You can feel it.
So many gifted people.
Maybe you should post that too, just for a clip of that. It's screeching hard enough where you don't want to post the whole thing, but you might want to post it like one.
Oh, they can fast forward. They can't take the screeching. They can always move it on.
Just make like after this video is posted, I think he's gonna post that one.
That was already on my timeline, but it's not to YouTube.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to post it from your timeline.
I got to do a video because YouTube
so you can see it for yourself. It's so hard to explain other than like the screeching. We're explaining it is still not explaining it. I think you really have to see it. Like your mind is like, I think the screeching was doing something to my mind because when I watched it back, I was like, whoa. And I honestly felt what I call the interim. I'm not on Earth and I'm not on the light. I call it, like I said, when I was crossing Christina, she stays in the interim. At that point, she had been doing so. So for me, I crossed into the interim, which was more of like a dark void. There was no one there, no light. So I was unprotected. I wasn't feeling any attacks, but I was unprotected. What I felt was alone because it was pitch dark blackness. I felt angry, agitated, twitchy. I was like, and I felt like this for almost, what are we on now? 24 hours until he finally heals me? No shit.
And this poor girl, in such need of cleansing and healing that she did not want it on video. Once she gets more,
next time.
I almost want to have now they do bloopers and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't curtail to the actual
Right.
show, but they can show different
Perfect.
parts of the show.
Perfect.
So kind of like behind the scenes.
You're a genius.
Oh, it just comes to me with the gift of knowing, and I'm being lit up. So it just comes to me. So like behind the scenes, what needs to be done.
What other psychics and what did you feel happened during that video? So I want to know what you felt. Let's go with you.
Oh, me, I was feeling great. I was feeling awe. I was feeling wonderful. It's miraculous.
He crossed over, I think, was in heaven with Jesus and feeling bliss. I hadn't gone into, I couldn't even find
And then I asked Jesus if he knew me, if he met me, and evidently it's several times, but only for a brief moment.
Steve is always on a mission. He's definitely chosen to do these missions. So he comes down to earth and Jesus says, Steve, bro, this is what you're doing. Steve's like, and he doesn't sit down, rest in the hammock and take a little nap in heaven and paradise. Steve goes, yes, boss, gone. So he sees Jesus, but he doesn't really chill out and have, he doesn't chill out with him. He just says, yes, boss, gotta go. See ya. He's never the type to sit down in real life anyway, so that makes a lot of sense. Your life, right? It makes a lot of sense.
Go. Where do you get the energy from?
Right, that makes sense. When Jesus said that, it made sense. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense.
Here's another scroll. Go get him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. But he didn't want to answer. He just was basically, instead of, he would not answer the questions what I wanted to know. He knows that I know, and I was a little bit of ego, basically wanting him to say how long he knew me there from the beginning as to the first time.
Oh, you mean like the first time you had been there?
The first time I had been there, the first time he was like, here, this is what I want you to do. So I was trying to get him to say that I am part of the family. I am part of the family. I'm not just a basic recycled spirit. That the reason why I know God is my father and Jesus is my brother is because I am part of the family.
Yeah. You are definitely, I think, possibly an angel, because when I talked to my goddess Hecate, you said my goddess Hecate is not as old as the Hindu goddesses, and I think the Hindu gods and goddesses are the oldest. And my goddess Hecate, one time we were having a discussion, I had to walk you out the door because you started taunting my goddess Hecate, and I almost smacked you. It's time for you to go, Steve. And anyway, so we talked to Hecate, and she said Steve's soul is older than hers. It goes back like the Hindus millions of years, which is interesting and sounds very blasphemous to anyone listening right now. But the Greek gods and goddesses did not exist until after the Hindus. So it's not the entire pantheon didn't exist to a different point in time. So it's not insulting the gods of the Greek mythology at all. Because I'm not trying to be blasphemous, but his soul is old enough that it goes back with the Hindus, just like, so it goes way the hell back. No offense, but like mine, because mine goes way back. I identify a lot with Hinduism, and what my gods and goddesses, my main god are from the Hindu religion, and so I know I go back that far 100%. So
and just gonna check the time, because we like to do these episodes hour long.
We like to freaking make it concise. It's very hard to make this experience concise. It was. Right. We're gonna have to post the video.
So we're 32 minutes in. So we still got 28 minutes.
I'm holding all my stones. I see myself going like this, just talking about it. Like, save me. I'm singing songs to Jesus as I'm talking about it in my head.
So anybody? Let me see here. Anybody in the audience, and you can talk to yours too, because you're watching my live.
I'm just looking for comments.
Anybody in the audience, if you have any questions for Bren, she has her phone on, watching this live feed. My phone is on, watching this live feed. As we are filming, what the heck? As we are filming this here for our YouTube.